Thank you, Chairs. My buntag. Um, Most especially to our resource persons and of course, Secretary Kakdak. So far, so good yung response niyo. So much so that yung Secretary Kakdak will be having his birthday somewhere in Dubai, sir. Secretary. So he's working hard. He's working hard. Just like to emphasize that. Okay, 2.4 million Filipinos. That's the size of a small country. I've been a chair of this committee a long time ago, 10 years, and I've heard about that. Uh, I'd like to hear later on, mamaya, I'm just going to go back to that, more concrete steps. How are we going to bring home? Hindi naman sana 2.4, you know naman, hindi naman 2.4. Most of them don't want to come home, di ba? I remember it right. They will say, why should I go home? Gutom kami doon. In the first place, that's why they're there. Walang trabaho sa Pilipinas. That has always been a advocacy of the TUCP. In the first place, that's why they're there. They'd rather wait it out than come home. Ang mga importante lang, let's go first muna sa Mr. Secretary, yung sa seafarers, because we have the part of TUCP's affiliate is a member of the Association of Philippine Seafarers Union, APSU. Alam naman natin, number one ang industriya, seafarers sa Pilipinas, tayo. I have a question here where we have a member or a seafarer that went missing when a missile struck in the Strait of Hormuz. Anong concrete actions were undertaken by the government to locate the missing seafarers and etc.? Please answer.
Yes, we do have, unfortunately, sa kinasamaang palad, we have a seafarer who was in a tugboat. It was a tugboat in the Strait of Hormuz that was helping a ship that was attacked. And in so doing, nandun yung kababayan natin and na-atake yung tugboat. Since then he has been missing. There are survivors and there are fatalities from that tugboat missile attack. Right now we have been coordinating with the Omani side. The Omani Navy, as we understand it, is doing the search and rescue. However, there are accounts of those who have been taken into custody, meaning rescued, and even human remains of others who have been recovered. But it so happens that it is just him who could not be located, and there are many possibilities and theories that are put forward. But we are in touch with the family, the wife, and the children. Admin PY and our teams have been on the ground since the moment we learned about this unfortunate incident. And so rest assured, based also on the directive of the president to take care of families, we are helping, hand-holding the family through this difficult process. But yes, we are coordinated with the authorities who are seeking, still searching. However,
Mr.
still
Secretary,
he has not
do we
been located.
I'm sorry, sir. Do we have a name and taga-saan siya?
Yes, we do have a name and we do know the origin of the.
Anong, do you have a name or what province does he come from? Ang dami ng mga conflict.
We could
Anyway,
disclose the name, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
but perhaps
we will get it later.
yes.
Yes, sir.
I think we are also looking at the family. So, but we can provide the name, of course.
I highlighted that, sir, because of the broader maritime worker safety concern on high-risk areas, di ba? A seaman, di ba, they have what they call the right to sail, the right to refuse to sail. So that's a fundamental. So do we agree? Even the industry agrees. And of course, the DMW and the government agencies where that right exists, the right to refuse to sail. Kung high-risk areas, a seaman can say no because, I believe that that's a war conflict area, di ba? So, klaro yan. But
Yeah.
that being said, yung enforcement lang. Question, what mechanism are in place to ensure that that seafarer or the seafarer who exercise that right are protected from retaliation, blacklisting, or loss of employment, sir?
First of all, Mr. Chair, we have been monitoring through the licensed manning agencies and ship owners, ships that are traversing or navigating around the area. Hindi po kailangan mismo doon sa Strait of Hormuz or Persian Gulf or Gulf of Oman, but in the surrounding areas, the Arabian Sea, and even approaching the Arabian Sea coming from the Indian Ocean, in the area of the Gulf of Aden. And we have monitored 330 ships with 6,083 seafarers marked safe. So this is an ongoing monitoring that we are adopting. And precisely one of the things we are monitoring and asking is if the seafarers will be taken to these areas, they should be given that particular right to refuse. And we do have particular regulations or issuances. There are forms actually where that the seafarer fills out to exercise the right to refuse. At kung natatakot yung seafarer na isulat, may hotlines pa nga, he can do so verbally to exercise the right to refuse, at kami na po ang kakausap sa ship owner at sa manning agency. So meron po, and we issued guidelines recently, a few days ago, na declaring that particular part of the world, the Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz, and Gulf Oman, as warlike operations areas. Therefore, the right to refuse sailing applies, which means once nag-refuse ang tripulante, entitled siya to 2 months salary and free repatriation with no blacklisting. So definitely blacklisting is an offense under the DMW guidelines, and there are appropriate penalties, Mr. Chair, for an agency or ship owner that blacklists a seafarer who exercise the right to refuse sailing.
Very reassuring, Mrs. Secretary. If ever may problema ang mga membro namin, please help us. That being said, how are ship owners and manning agencies being held accountable to ensuring safe routing and adequate protection for Filipino crew members? Although nasagot mo yan, can you just add a little?
As I mentioned, we have been monitoring and making sure yung yun lang act of monitoring namin is paramdam na namin yan na binabantayan namin kayo, siguraduhin ninyo na up to standard and protection. The good news, of course, is seafarers' terms and conditions of employment, conditions on board are held to an international standard. There are at least two major international conventions that apply and are observed by all ship owners in the world. So we hold them to that high standard, naka-align din ng DMW regulations doon. And of course, this August body passed the Magna Carta for seafarers. So talagang nandun na yung standard. So all it takes for us is to remind, to implement, to monitor, to punish any manning agency that violates these particular standards.
Thank you, sir. The last thing that you will need is Filipino seafarers coming home in coffins. Diba? That would be a nightmare. That being said, the right to refuse to sail, I'll now go to a different batch of members sa TUCP. Diba, I mentioned it kanina. The right to refuse to fly, now in the airline industry. You mentioned while I was looking at the PAL is not flying to Dubai for those reasons. It's going to resume on March 12th, right? So
I think
Yeah.
it was DFA who
I know.
gave
So
that.
it has to be the OTR, the FA. Because yung presidente namin, si Presidente Alex of the Cebu Pacific Cabin Crew, one wing, there are about 2,000 of them. They're now visibly medyo stressed. Of course, they will do their duties as the cabin crew. The right to refuse to sail dapat also applies also to those who fly, di ba? The right to refuse to fly in conflict areas. So is there a policy in that particular aspect, just like the seafarers? Kawawa din eh. I was talking to our president, sabi niya, problema talaga na stress na ang mga membro nila because they're so much afraid to fly on those areas lang. That is why probably PAL is set to resume March 12 pa, di ba? I saw it there eh. March 12, I took note of that. So do airline workers have the right to refuse assignments that involve flying over high-risk or conflict-prone areas? What policies or safeguards exist to ensure pilots, cabin crew, if given to cabin crew, of course, also to pilots and other aviation personnel, are not compelled to operate in a potentially dangerous conditions? Walang DOTR dito eh. Ba't baka DFA? Hindi naman DMW yan, di ba?
It's
What,
it could
what would
be in
you,
our
please help
area,
us?
Mr. Chair, because flight attendants who go international are OFWs. They get a special clearance from us, and their contracts are presented. Uh, in general, a worker may, of course, refuse any type of work that he or she refuses to undertake. That's the principle of involuntary servitude. So I would think yes, a flight attendant or any airline worker may refuse, and the law would be on his or her side if he or she does not want to fly. Uh, Mr. Chair, uh, eh, it is a time honored labor law, the legal labor law tradition, should I say? So for us, uh, we of course have open lines of communication with the airlines, with foreign employers. So we could very well discuss this with them.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Secretary. I brought this up probably because in the seafarers, as mentioned a while ago, klaro, di ba? Sa airline industry, that has to be, well, a direction should be made, a policy should be made on this aspect because I myself cannot even answer the question of our president. Maybe the FA can, you know, offer a solution to this, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, to clarify this, that what the March 12 date was on a slide that we had presented. That was the initial information about when the flights would be resuming. But yesterday, I received a message from Philippine Airlines Corporate Affairs that the advisory and the cancellation of flights had been extended until March 15. And the advisory mentions, I think it was also posted on social media, that in view of ongoing developments and interest of ensuring safety of our passengers, crew, and ground personnel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that is now the cancellation and so forth. But I may zero in if I don't know if you are the right person to answer this. If a worker, a airline worker, a member of ALO TUCP, one wing, can refuse to fly for the same reason that that right is also given to a seafarer.
Sir, if you allow me, I will ask Pal and also do research, and if you'll allow me, I'll get back to you, sir.
Again, that's why we are here
Yes.
as a committee. So please help us out. I'm not, I don't expect um, answers, but that has to be answered right away, and a policy direction should be made, probably in the proper agency. Would you say DOTR or somehow?
So we'll coordinate with probably the OTR and CAAP about this, sir.
Can you help us on that? Because you must also remember, cabin crew also have families. There are also people. They're also, subjected to fears and etc. Tao din lang. So, yun lang. Going back to the initial query, chairs, ito lang yung 2.4 million, ma-transfer mo lahat. I hope, because I've been hearing about that 10 years ago. So how are we going to bring back, like say, 2.4 million, probably 500,000 or 1 million? Do we now have a concrete or a sort of a program, a unified, but because you all sit here, how are we going to do this na hindi lang reactive? Dapat may plano na. That can be operationalized in situations like this. Right now, the conflict is heating up. What if it's already the worst case scenario? Diba? So just as a statement, okay, I hope that I've been hearing all of this. Yeah, there was only one time that we'll put them in one desert area. Can you imagine? Hindi mo ma-transfer, let alone 1 million, di ba? 2.4 million pa. Impossible, right? So how are you going to transfer that? And also, it talks about logistics. And I hope from DND, we can use the vessels of the defense, probably, or cruise ships. So somehow, Mr. Secretary, that we have a plan like that na call it by some other name na when it's already at the level that reaching a worst case scenario, nandyan na yan. We don't have to call you. But then, this committee, both the Foreign Affairs and of course the OFW, can also help in terms probably number one, budget and logistics, etc. And how are we going to help that so that when that scenario, hope not na darating, we are much prepared than now. Yun lang, Madam Chair and Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, DS Mendoza.